We are back to our body image series. I am so excited. You remember when I told you a couple of weeks ago why we were doing this series? There's a lot that's going on in the world. Things have changed. A lot of people are online. People are looking at themselves on cameras. I know that when I look at myself on this camera, my face looks like it's kind of lopsided. So it looks lopsided. And a lot of people are seeing that and wanting to get surgery and all kinds of different things. And body image, in and of itself, just even looking at a camera, can be a little embarrassing or annoying, right? Sometimes, maybe a little bit. But anyway, tonight we have four amazing ladies. But let me do a little bit of a recap. In our first episode, we talked about body image influence, how our body image, the influences that we see out in the world, the stereotypes, the prototypes, as Whitney has enlightened us to understand, don't necessarily look like everyone else. It's a small percentage of the people, and how that affects the way that people treat us, the way that people understand us, look at us, tolerate us, not tolerate us, all of that. And then on the second episode, we talked about body positivity, body neutrality, and body negativity, and how so many people are affected by these images. And so many people have moseyed over into eating disorders and all these things. And it's a huge cause for suicide on the negative side. But then also with body neutrality, kind of getting to a place to where maybe you're not so high excited about your body, but you're excited about what your body does for you. So we went into those conversations. Tonight, we are going to talk about body image in relation to relationships. Yeah, we're going to get into it. Now, this is going to be a little different because so what I like to do, I like to get people from various backgrounds, okay? I like to get people from all over the spectrum. Now, I don't know a whole lot of people, but these ladies are amazing. The ones that I do know are awesome, okay? And they come from various backgrounds. Some of them haven't struggled with overweight. Some are like, anyway, you'll get into it. You know what we're talking about when we get into it. But I like to have different women from different spectrums to talk about what body image feels like and looks like for them. And we're also going to talk about reciprocity with body image. Y'all excited about that? Reciprocity, the give and take of what that looks like. Sometimes women are required to have a higher standard than men. And we're going to talk about what that looks like. And relationships. Well, relationships don't always have to be marriage. They can be situationships and addictionships and all the other ships. And we're going to talk about that, what that looks like in the scope of body image. It's a lot. So hold on to your seats. We're excited about it. Come in with your questions, please, right now. Like, share. Let people know that we are talking about this tonight. Okay. So let's get into it. So I would like to introduce these ladies. They've already been on, they've introduced themselves, but I want them to share just a tidbit about themselves, about a minute or so. And then we have a new guest with us. And we're going to allow her to share her journey in a little bit of detail, and then we'll get into body image and relationships. So just by who I see on the screen, Whitney, tell us a little bit about you, just a snippet, and what this message means to you.
Hey everyone, so I'm Whitney Jacobs. I'm owner, founder of Freedom Fitness, and it's a sports performance, personal training business. So the idea of body image is super personal to me. Not only just growing up as an athlete, I've done modeling and a lot of different things in bodybuilding as well. So body image has always kind of been an issue, not like an issue, but it's always forefront, especially athletics and of course doing bodybuilding. It's all about how you look, and modeling. It's all about how you look. So it's always a continuous journey. So.
All right, Monique, talk to me.
Hey everybody, so good to be back with you, Andrea and beautiful ladies. I'm Moni James. You see there the Closet Thrifter. Closet Thrifter is my jam, y'all. I thrift, I teach thrifting tips, but in this season, I'm showing people how to utilize thrifting to help in a therapeutic way, overcoming trauma. Y'all, it's levels to this. So that's my thing. And of course, when it comes to fashion and dressing and styling people, image, I mean, it's all about that when getting dressed, just what you're wearing in your day-to-day or for something special. So that's a season that I'm in now and loving, and just loving talking about this. I live in Fort Worth, Texas, born and raised in Chicago, met Andrea and these beauties, other beauties in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and y'all, we're here to stay.
Okay, Gwen.
I'm Gwen, born and raised in Tulsa, still here at 47 years old. I have three boys who are now young adults. I still have trouble comprehending that I have adult children. I've been married for 5 months. I wrote a book for single parents called The Daring Adventures of Single Parenthood, and I am glad to be here tonight again.
It's good to have you. Okay, Bailey, tell us who you are, tell us where you're from, tell us a little bit about you, and then talk to me about your body image journey. What has this meant for you? And you've got a few more minutes because these ladies have been able to introduce themselves before.
Sure. So my name's Bailey Lewis. So it's nice to be here and to talk about a subject that's kind of hard for me. But it's just hard because it's personal. And I know probably all of you guys feel that way too. But a little bit about me is that I live in Tulsa. I am a registered nurse. I've been a nurse for almost 11 years now, and I work in critical care. And so it's been a crazy year, or actually 2, almost 3 for nursing, which has also presented some challenges. But anyways, I last December had a little baby boy. My husband and I had our first son, and he is just the sweetest thing in the entire world. And he just gives me a whole new purpose to life. And he is why I keep going, amongst other things as well. But my body image journey, oh man, there's so much to talk about. But I grew up overweight. I grew up where apples were not necessarily something you eat for nutrition, but they were a great centerpiece. They were always just kind of on the table, but never really something we consumed. And so I really never knew healthy eating until I moved to Tulsa. I grew up in Minnesota. Anyways, when I finally was on my own, and I couldn't blame my overweight and unhealthy lifestyle on college or my parents or anything like that, it had to become me. And so I started a journey where I lost almost 80 pounds. But sadly, I gained all of that back during pregnancy because, I mean, shoot, you're pregnant. So it's like the time where you can eat whatever you want. My heartburn was insane. So I ate ice cream almost every night to help. And sure enough, 90 pounds later, here I am. And so postpartum has been a journey for me, just body image wise, of just a struggle. It's been a struggle because I know who I am as far as who Christ sees me as, but sometimes I just don't feel that. And the reality of, you feel all sorts of ways. Like there's some ladies who lose their weight instantaneously, it seems like. And then you're doing all the right things. You're tracking, you're exercising, you're doing all the things, but yet you don't see any progress. And how you have to fight the mental aspect of fighting of your weight is not your weight number is not what defines you. and who defines you? What do you define yourself as? And so that's kind of been my journey. That's honestly kind of where I am now. And I'm excited to just be open and honest with y'all tonight about that.
Oh, wow. That is so good. Oh my goodness. Love it, love it, love it. So let's dig in. You ready? Okay. So you remember when I talked about, we're not just talking about romantic relationships, we're also talking about situationships, flirtation, addictionships, whatever that is. Y'all ever heard of addictionships? Do you know what an addictionship is? It's when you are addicted to somebody. You're not really in love with them, but you just can't get away from them. That's an addiction. That is what we're talking about. Ooh, all kinds of ships tonight. Okay, so let's dig into it. How does body image play a role in attractiveness? Who you find attractive, and how others see you, and how you see yourself. Okay, so it's a three-pronged question. How does body image play a role in attractiveness? Who you find attractive, how you see yourself as being attractive, and how others view you as being attractive. All right, let's go for it. Monique.
4-part question. I was like, she said 3. That was 4. So how does... See, I'm trying to remember the first part. What was the first one?
How does body image play a role in attractiveness?
In attractiveness.
And the types of
Right,
attractiveness, the types I'm talking about is how you see other people, how you see yourself, and then how others view you.
Right. How does body image play a role in attractiveness in all these different situations? It's major. And if I'm generalizing, I mean, I'm a very empath. I just am. And so I am one, I see you for who you are, and real fluffy sometimes. But I know that I've been in situations where, everybody don't roll like that. How you walk into a place, your first we see you before you open your mouth, before you know what I mean? We know anything about you. We see you first. It doesn't matter if it's a job interview. It doesn't matter if it's church. Is it school? Is it right? It plays a role. And then if you're in a situation, just say it's a blind date. Okay, I've never been in anything like that. I didn't have the opportunity, if that's what it is, an opportunity. I don't know. I got married at 18 and still married to the same man. However, 19. I had just turned 19. Either way, I can just imagine that, you're judging by what you see. And I'm hearing about what's happening in these streets, people lying about these profiles. You don't look like that picture. You don't look like that. Like, you know what I mean? So it matters. It matters heavily. Friendships. I'm not someone that feels like, oh, I have to have friends that just look this certain way and, or whatever. I've just never been that person. I've been a lot of times the friend that I'm going to show up dressed up. Even if you say dressed down, I am dressed down. What you mean? Like, that's always been me. So I don't really know what it's like to show up somewhere where you don't look the part, or where you are maybe judged in the way of maybe not being dressed appropriately for a situation. But I do know what it feels like to feel that no matter what I do, in certain situations, like I mentioned the last time, I can try to change how I dress. Okay, maybe I'll dress down a bit more, or maybe I'm a dancer, so in dance class, okay, suck it in, tighten, twist, turn this way in the mirror. I constantly had that body image right here of always thinking about my posture. There was a time, no kidding, years, decades, probably 2 of my 3 that I've lived, almost 4, where I would be sitting in church and I can't even sit without thinking of how I'm sitting. I have to sit this way, suck in, tuck during the whole sermon, because I'm constantly having to think of body image, being presentable. I wasn't raised that way. Like, my mom is kind of like me. She shows up dazzled, but she didn't teach us to do that, like that you have to, if that makes sense. She didn't do that. So all of that, I believe, was just learned from society, from situationships, like I said, being in dance, being in church, etc. At school we wore a uniform, but we want to look fly in our uniform. It was always something when it came to body image, no matter the situation.
I guess when you think about body image, a lot of we covered up, right? We're covered up, so we're not. Are we really? I'm sorry, I'm interjecting, but are we really confident in the way we look, body wise, or the clothes? Is it the outfit that we're confident about, or is it okay?
For sure, for me. You know what
But
I mean? I've had 4 kids and 3 C-sections. That's a whole different type of topic, with body image,
Okay, we're going to come back to that one.
I figured.
All right. Whitney, please stay unmuted. Everybody, stay unmuted.
Unmute.
Okay. Okay, give me these list of questions again, because that was a lot. Let's roll it back.
Okay. How much does body image play a role in relationships?
Okay.
Who you find attractive, how you see yourself, and then how other people see you.
All those can be totally different things. So I think part of that, how body image plays a role in attractiveness, even if at times we see, like, maybe you're not, quote, the ideal body image, but the way you carry yourself and the way you think about yourself and your body image carries over that confidence. And people are attracted to confidence. I am. Like, to me, there's nothing worse than like a spineless man. Like, that just irritates my soul. So even if you may not be like my ideal, like how you look or whatever, like confidence is a big thing. So that unsure and just not confident, secure just kills it. I don't care how you look. So I mean, all that kind of rolls into body image, because how we see ourselves is part of that, and it rolls over into how we carry ourselves depending on how we think of ourselves and see ourselves. So there's that. What I'm attracted to, Jesus help us. I don't really have a type. Like I said, confidence is a huge thing. However, when we talk about, people ask me all the time, because yes, I train athletes, I deal with professional athletes, I work out, I'm in the gym, but there's nobody that I've trained where I'm like, oh, they're attractive. Like, I don't care how good your body looks. Like, business and pleasure, there's one thing, but also in the deal of, well, would you date somebody who, isn't fit or this or that? There's a yes and there's a no to it, because everybody is along a journey. But at the same time, if you don't care about your health, that's a big thing in my life. That's my business. So if you don't care about your health, how can I like trust you and submit to you that you are going to care to provide and care about my health, a family's health? I'm not trying to raise kids on my own because you died of a heart attack because you didn't take care of your health. So all those things go along. And I always tell people, they can look how they want. I can fix that. I can change that. Because if I'm cooking for you and we're working out together, this is what I do. So I joke about it, but like it's serious kind of at the same time. But it's just, do I like muscular? It can be both. I've been in a relationship where, chiseled out of his mind. We actually met each other doing bodybuilding, but inwardly it didn't look as good, so, but that confidence was there. So you kind of like overlooked a little bit of things. As far as me, what's the last question? What was your last one?
How do others see you?
Oh, okay. Good question. I guess sometimes you don't always know. I guess sometimes with men you do know. of course, that's. I just want to say for all of you, I'm glad you guys are married because the dating scene is a little different. Okay. So you will get hello, beautiful to death. Good morning, beautiful to death. And oh, you're sexy, you're this, that. But in my mind, I'm like, if you always tell me like, oh, you're sexy. That only leads me to think you are thinking about one thing, and that is just sex when it comes to me and how you view me. So I'm like, And sometimes I'm like, yeah, I know. Like, it is what it is. Like, what else is there? What else do you find attractive? Because if that's all you can say about me, I mean, obviously, social media is a whole different ballgame because you can only go off kind of how people look at times compared to who people are on there with my live feeds or whatever else. They know, like, don't come at Whitney sideways because it's not really going to get you anywhere. So it's kind of a mix. And some people don't agree with how I do things or, you know, doing swimwear modeling or whatever. But I think I said last time, like, I just don't care. I'm going to do what I'm going to do. And I have to answer for that. If I feel convicted about it and I do it anyways, I have to answer for that. But we all go to the beach. So I feel okay about it. So it's different. It's different. And I guess I can honestly say I don't know how everybody feels about how I look or what I do. Because, I mean, I also grew up as an athlete. And some of my friends thought it was crazy. But even like middle school, my dad would be like, you need to lose weight. And like, oh my gosh, did your dad say you're fat? I'm like, no. He just said I need to lose weight. Like, to me, it wasn't a big deal because my dad very much is an athlete. He was going to raise athletes. And he would blatantly say there's walk around weight and there's competing weight. So if you're competing right now, you should be at a different weight than just a walk around weight. So those conversations, weight wasn't a huge deal. If somebody's saying, oh, you look like this, you do this running track, they'll give you that little pink slip. You need to lose weight. So it's been part of athletics and performing. So dealing with that hasn't always been, it just is what it is. And so I was never really offended by any of those things. So that's kind of my spiel if I answered all your questions.
Yeah, you answered all my questions.
Okay.
Gwen?
Oh goodness, let me remember all the questions. So
I mean, a cheat sheet.
I know we do, don't we? So what was that first one again?
Okay. How much does body image play a role in attractiveness?
Yeah.
Who you find attractive?
Yeah, I think that body image plays a big part in that because if you have a bad body image, you're not going to be confident no matter what you do. And with a bad body image, you're going to dress down, you're going to cover up, you're going to try not to let your flaws be seen because you're so dependent on what other people think of you. So when you have a positive body image, you've accepted your body and understand that you can make changes if you want or if you need to, and you have that confidence in yourself, then you come into a room confident. And people see confidence. They see pride and they see confidence. And so if you walk in and you just are a self-assured person and you can talk to people, then they notice more. For me, I like the quieter. My husband's quiet. He's kind of an introvert, kind of a quiet person. Probably because my first husband was not. And so, but with my first marriage, getting married at 19, I did not have a good self-esteem. I did not have a good body image. And then having children right away, I came out of that not liking me, not feeling good about myself, childbearing weight. My youngest was 7, so I did not feel confident. And as I healed, then I began to have confidence in myself as a woman. And when I did that, I took more care of myself. And as I did that, I would buy nicer clothes. I wouldn't try to hide everything with baggy clothes that were too big to try to hide the flaws. I started accepting myself and who I was. And so that brought with it the, like Whitney said, I've only been married for 5 months. It brought the whole online dating thing is a whole different ballgame. And you have to weed through because of the woman who had such a bad self-esteem and a bad first marriage, and some guys hopping on saying, you're beautiful, oh, you're sexy, I love your eyes. You're kind of like, oh my goodness, and then you have to come down and realize this guy's probably making this up. He's just wanting to get a date. And there were some dates in there that I was like, oh, no. But I think it's just as we accept ourselves and we're confident in ourselves, then it portrays a woman who's confident and a woman who knows what she wants. Now, sometimes that can be intimidating to a man and to other people, to have a woman who's outspoken, who knows how to speak her mind, who holds her own. And I think that comes with that confidence of, I know who I am, and this is how I believe, this is how I feel, and I'm going to be nice, but I'm not going to back down. And so I think that with that confidence, it rolls over into every area of life, where you can go into a job interview and know that you deserve that job. And you can walk in confident and have a conversation. Or you're self-confident enough that if you sit down at a date with some man, you can realize pretty quickly that this relationship's not for me, right? And so the more confidence you have, the better you are with friends. You can see people who are confident, who are with you, and you can see people who maybe just need a hand. Like, hey, I see you hiding over there holding up the wall. Come with me. Let's meet some people. You have something to say. And so I think that confidence just resonates, and it just spreads to your entire circle. And it can be a very positive thing in the lives of the people around you.
Bailey.
All right. I wrote it down. So how does body image play a role in attractiveness? Yeah, like Gwen said, I think it is the role. Like, how you see yourself is an exact correlation of how you find yourself attractive. And I think how you find yourself attractive is the definition of how you will have relationship with others, whether it's your husband or friends or strangers. And so I think, like all of them have said, confidence is one thing, but also how you see yourself. I was talking with my sister about this today, just having, talking about self-esteem. And she said the number one thing postpartum for her that helped her was actually getting ready in the morning, stopping, like, even if she was wearing her sweats because she works from home, even if she was wearing sweats, she would get up, shower, do her hair, because that made her feel attractive and then feel confident. And from there, she could carry herself differently, and just more confidently. And I think that when you find yourself attractive, you have that confidence and that boldness to be around other people. Even for me, I am a total extrovert, but I can tell, like, when I don't feel attractive, I definitely don't want to go anywhere. If I have to go to Walmart, it's a quick in and out, and I just pray I don't see anybody. And it's these things where you sacrifice a little bit of who you are because you have a negative view of you, or you don't feel like you're attractive. And so because of that, then you downplay your confidence, or you're just not confident. And so because of that, it takes away from who you are, right? And I think even probably someone who's introverted, they just can kind of tuck away even more so. And so those are things for me that have played a role that I can see. When I don't feel confident, when I don't feel attractive, I tuck away, I hide away. I don't go out with my friends. I really, really don't like to go out anywhere, or even mingle with others. So there's that. And then I think there was a question, how do I think people view me? Is that right? With attractiveness? I would hope people would view me as confident even when I am not feeling it, right? And so I hope like that's what I would pretend to be. I think those people that really know me can tell when I'm not feeling the most confident, you know? But I think, again, it all just kind of plays a role. They all intermingle.
You know, I don't remember who I was listening to. While you were talking, I'm trying to think about this. I saw something because I do a lot of research, and yeah, if you know me personally, you know that I'm always looking at something somewhere. And I heard this person say, you know, when an athlete is injured, one of the biggest things is when they come back, and Whitney, you can attest to this, Bailey. When an athlete is injured, the biggest thing that the struggle that they have is being more comfortable with their body when they get back from that injury. When they come back, they're healed up or whatever, but it's becoming more familiar with that part of their body that they've injured and not being afraid to get back in the game and do what they did before. Is that true? True.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true with dance too.
Yeah.
I've been injured.
So we'll talk about that. Sorry about that. I didn't mean to expose you. My bad.
I'm like, dance is a sport.
Dance is a sport. Yes. I'm sorry about that. I'm not trying to hate on you. I apologize. Forgive
I've been
me.
injured.
I'm sorry. But what I'm coming to after these 4 decades, as Moni so poetically put in her description, it's almost kind of like leaning into my body, like being able to lean into that and be comfortable in that. Am I leaning into who I really am and all of me? Can I look at myself in the mirror in the morning and be okay with the way that I look? Right? Is it a certain size that I'm comfortable with? Or is it, you know, what is that? You know, and I think like today I'm doing this body image and I'm thinking about it and I'm like, wow, there are things that I'm just totally not confident in. Like I'm just not comfortable with looking at myself, having lost a whole bunch of weight and then picked it up within a year time frame. I am not comfortable with what I see in the mirror and I'm looking at myself and I'm like, oh, you just, but then what is that? What voice am I listening to? Am I basing my attractiveness on what I see in the mirror or who I am and being okay with this body that I'm living in and knowing that I can make adjustments? That's what I'm seeing. It's more of a lean in. And it seems like, Whitney, you kind of had that lean in type of perspective for a long time. Can you go into a little bit more about your weightlifting journey, your modeling journey, the assumptions that come from people that don't necessarily have the confidence that you have in your body, what we assume about you? That's why I say that outside perspective, okay? What we assume about you and what standards are placed on you and how you deal with that and function through that.
Okay. So that's a lot. But part of that, I guess, there's different standards and weaving through those different worlds. Cause like before, now, not so much, but you say like 5-10 years ago, athlete and modeling those worlds did not go together. Because you're going to be too big, you're going to be too muscular, your shoulders are probably going to be too wide, your thighs are going to be too big. You have too much muscle. We don't want that. It's slim, slender. It is size 4 or below. You at least got to be 5'7", like all those things. So not too many athletes fit that. Why? Because you work out, you lift, so you have muscles. You are going to be bigger than a size 4 unless you're a cross country runner. Okay. So, I'm just being honest. Okay. You don't have a whole lot of that. So, but now like you're seeing more of that. Like when we look at like Sports Illustrated and ESPN, like they do the body issue, right? Everybody loves the body issue. Like folks are like, it's called folks are naked. You see like these sculpted, they look like, those Greek statues of the Greek gods with their muscles or whatever. And that is how they look. But it's like people appreciate that because they're like, dang, they work hard and they do this. But when it comes to us everyday people, there's a lot of criticism at times. Cover up. You're showing too much. But I work for this as well. But with that, there is, how do I want to put it? There's criticism. There's also a deal of like being in tune with your body. Like I think it's different as an athlete because you are lifting every day, you are running, you are constantly having to put your body to a test every day and being in tune with that. And like you said, when you get injured, whole different ball game. And you are more tuned. Even now, like years later, there's things that I'm like, I don't have to sit here and try to squat 250 pounds because I am not at Iowa State. And my back and my hamstrings, I know it's going to happen. So you can make those adjustments and be in tune to your body. Even my back, like playing basketball at Rhema, praise God. There's still things now that I'm like, I deal with and I think about every day. And what Gwen was talking about, like coming up, I grew up, I play football now still, tackle football in a league, but I grew up playing football. Like I am the only girl coming through middle school. My parents let me play tackle football. And so I was not like, oh, look at me. I'm cute. I'm pretty. I'm like, I never did that. Like I got to Iowa State running track and I had on like a pair of basketball shorts like my first week because that's just how I was. And I can't do little shorts. I'm not comfortable until you realize like trying to run and do a workout in long shorts for track is like not happening. It is hindering you. Like it makes it much harder. Okay. And it's only been, I would say, in the last 5-10 years where I've gotten super comfortable with my body. When I first started doing bodybuilding, I'll never forget my trainer, Brenton. Oh, when I lived in Dallas, he would take me outside the gym. Like they were doing construction out there because he's like, it's better lighting. I can see your body. And I'm like covered up in a robe, like Brenton. He's like, you're going to be on stage, Whitney. Like get used to it. And I was like, everybody doesn't have to see me out here. And he's like, oh, well, get used to it. And I'd be so embarrassed, like so embarrassed out there in that like bikini, like posing and people are looking at me. So like, even now listen, Andrea kind of cut me when she posted this deal the other day talking about you can't always wear sweatpants and expect to, be trying to get, and I was like, that's me.
I didn't see that.
Because the thing as well, how people see you, like people, you can go on my Instagram, whatever, and you see my modeling pictures in bathing suits, working out, whatever. So you get different type of attention. Sometimes, I mean, I told a friend of mine, I don't want to be seen sometimes. Like I wear, like even my coworkers are like, one of them's like, y'all just don't know Whitney. She does like, shush. No. We don't tell them what I do outside of work, outside of this. They're like, why do you always wear them sweatpants and a hoodie when you come downstairs and hang out with everybody? And I was like, I don't want to be seen. I don't want you to know what I look like. I was like, without work clothes. It is not always like you're not like I'm confident in it, but like sometimes attention isn't just. People think, oh, you just want attention. No, like that's just how I'm shaped. Like I work for this. Like I can be smaller, I can be bigger. I can fix those things. Like you said, Andrew, like, am I comfortable where I'm at? Yes, at times. Are there things that I want to improve on myself? Yes. So I can be confident in both of those spaces and like myself in all those spaces. Like I tell my clients, big deal if you lose 80 pounds and you still don't like yourself. Like that's not success. You're at where you're at, love yourself enough that you want to improve. And if you're comfortable where you're at, that's you. So it's a lot, but I think just like tuning into your body at times and knowing it, that's half the battle because you have all these outside influences. Like I said, coaches and this, like for me, like my parents, well, not my mom, but my dad. And then modeling, you hear that, like I've never fit the standards and the check boxes for that until now, because now they do have more fitness modeling and things like that. But previously, and not only that, like I have all this here, like before, no, you need to straighten it, you need to do this. Like I was like natural, like this mop on my head before was cool, right? So you run into those things now. Like Target and Gap are the biggest deal. They want mixed kids on there because it targets bigger audiences. It's more appealing. It is inclusive, but it hasn't always been like that. So yay for progress, but you know, at times you go through this deal of too, like you talk about body image, of feeling accepted, even like racially, and things like being a mixed kid. Like I've told some of you, I went to Morocco last year during the pandemic. I've never been around people who everybody looks like me, like medium skin tone, hair like mine, because I'm coming from a biracial household. You're either too dark, you're too light. I went somewhere and I was like, oh my gosh, I have never felt like this where everybody looks like me. I didn't want to come back. I'll be honest.
So it boosted your confidence, right? It took you to another level, right?
Like I felt comfortable. I didn't stand out. You know, like other places, even here at work, and people are like, oh, what are you? And I'm like, I know what they mean. Like, what is your ethnicity? What's your, you know, but that gets tiring, like to hear that. So being someplace where like nobody asked, you just like assume that you're accepted and you're one of everybody. Like it was amazing. I didn't want to come back home. So
what about in the scope of, and before I ask you this, Tiana says, my confidence is what makes me sexy. How I feel about myself shows in how I dress and carry myself. Yes. And Marcus says, you should have played for Alabama. No.
My dad didn't let me continue. Yeah. He's like, they got bigger and you didn't. They didn't
no.
So,
no.
And now we have Women's Football League, the WFA. So.
Yeah. So, yeah, no, we're not doing that.
If you have daughters, you should definitely let them.
I'm just saying I would, but like not Alabama. Just telling you. Anyway, no shade to the Alabamians, but I'm just not Alabamans, but I'm not. No. Anyway, in the scope of relationships, Whitney, like these situationships, or like what are some assumptions that men have for you in the way that you look?
So I get sometimes that people think I'm stuck up, or that I have an attitude, and like I also like I pledged in college Greek, so I'm a Zeta, but simply because of how I look. I don't know how much you guys know about like Black Greek history and stuff like that, but a lot of people assume I'm an AKA simply because I'm light skinned, I got curly hair, whatever. I don't have the attitude like that, like the prissy. Sorry for all of you that are AKAs. I'm just telling the generalizations.
No shade. No shade.
D9 unity, right? But the assumption that like, oh, I'm stuck up, I'm prissy, I'm this, like, and then they're like, oh, like you like go fishing and you do stuff on the farm and you ride horses. Like they're just like blown away, like they have no idea. Like they look at me like I don't have them in now, but like I have like a diamond like grill on the bottom and two top ones like gold. So even when I'm at work, they're looking at me like, I hear you talking, but I see the way you look, but I see your mouth, what's in your mouth, and they can't put it together. Because what their assumptions are about those things, about, okay, the way I look, my shape or whatever else, me having grills in my mouth and golds in my mouth, but yet the way I talk and I'm having to teach you as a doctor things, it just throws them for a mind loop. Okay.
Yeah.
So
thank you.
I got you. And so even in the things of like dating, the way like people think that they can approach me, and I'll be like, okay, but do you want to do this and you want to do that? Because keep in mind, like I grew up in a farming community. Okay, I grew up working cattle, horses, throwing hay bales during the summer. So that's when I talk about like spineless men. Like I'm like, we'll have to call. I'm like, why are we calling to change a tire? Like I can do it. And they're looking at me like, you don't look like you can do that. So it's they just don't know. But that's what the thing about what you assume because of how people look about what they're able to do and how they move and how they act and the things they like to do. Like it's very different. And do I know why that is? No, because I've never been the other side of what most people assume I am. I've always been very like down to earth and chill, and I want to be outside fishing and riding horses all day. I'm not a shopper. I hate to shop, but I get that a lot. Like, oh, you must be high maintenance. I like our closet thrifter down there. Listen, I don't want to pay. If I can pay $25 for a pair of jeans, that's what I'm finna do.
Yes.
Like I don't need designer stuff because one, I'll tear it up, or this dog is going to tear it up. I don't like to waste money, right? And when I think about like an $800 bag, like you know how many groceries I can buy? Like that is my mindset. But a lot of people are like, think, oh, she looks like this. You got this nice body, whatever else. That I don't know. I don't understand the way everybody's minds work and how they like come to these conclusions just about how you look and what you do. So it's interesting. It makes for great conversation sometimes and not so great conversation other times, depending, because again, like we talk about, like Gwen said, like it can be intimidating for people who don't have their stuff together. Like dating is a whole different world. So you realize like I can change a tire and change your oil and you can't, you don't know how. Like they feel some type of way. Like you shouldn't know how to do that because you look like this. What? Like it's interesting to say the least. Situationships too. Yeah. I've had those. Not always proud. Let's be honest. And it doesn't, okay, let's just be honest. Because it goes about how you look. And I've met people, I'm like, oh, they look amazing. Like, in that first impression, sometimes you're like, everybody, you know, puts up a good deal. So you're like, oh yes, their personality is great. Their body is amazing. Thank you, God. They have finally been here. You have sent them. And about 3 weeks later, I'm like, Lord, take them back. I don't need anybody with a body like this. It's okay. And some of them have been like, and I'm being very honest with, some of them have been it's been a dangerous position for me. Because you realize, like we said, even people's like assumptions about me, about how I look, and just people, just because they look good doesn't mean they are good. So I've ended up in some kind of dangerous situations, very dangerous situations at times. Andrea, with that, so we're not going to go into detail, but we're just being honest that just because we look a certain way doesn't mean we interact and we move a certain way. So dating, in situationships, relationships, I've never felt like pressured really to look a certain way in a relationship. And I don't know if that's because just my demeanor, like they just don't try even if they wanted to, because they like, it's not going to happen. Like what you see is what you get. I don't do my hair every day. I don't like, and I'm very upfront. I'm very honest. What you see is kind of what you get a lot. Sometimes people think they can change you. I've heard one time like, oh, you should get, you know, because I did a modeling deal. Like, you know, a lot of times you see a lot of people, even in bodybuilding, a lot of women get breast implants. Oh, when you should, I'm like, what? $3,000? Do you like that's a down payment on a car? No, but honestly, like, and no shade to people, like they do have them, but there's risks that come along with that as well. You have like breast implant illness and all those things that are coming out. But I asked one of my like good friends, I was like, Kobe, I was like, this was said to me, like, what do you think? He was like, why are you talking to me about this stupid mess? Like, he's like, no. And I'm like, well, why not? What do you think? And he's like, you look like perfect. Why would you change that? And I was like, boost my ego, friend, boost my ego. But after that conversation, I was like, no, I wish some man would tell me like, oh, come change this about your body. Because if there's certain things about your body that we don't like, well, now you can. But before, you can't change those things. Now, if you pay enough money, you can change those things. But it's an interesting ball game, I guess, as far as relationships go like that. Positive, negative, a lot of it, I think, just comes down to how do you feel about yourself, and it'll kind of weed out a lot of the riffraff and the noise at times. Not that it doesn't affect you, and that I don't sometimes look at myself like, oh, especially going to Miami, I got to compete with Dr. Miami down there. Everybody's been on the table getting surgery, but I have to realize, like, when you've worked for this, like, you didn't, that's not $20,000. Even clients, I want to look like this. You're not, because that's $20,000 worth of surgery, you know? So it's a struggle at times.
So I want to say like three things. I want to say that Shaniqua says, right, tags don't equate swag. You can wear anything from high end to clearance rack and wear it well.
Mhm.
Listen, you can get
Oh,
$800
yeah.
and I can pay 5 and I'm gonna look better. Okay.
Yeah. Number two. So it's no shade on men. We're like, well, this is not a man bashing thing. This is we're talking about body image, and we're talking about perceptions in relationships. And number three, I think a lot of people see you, Whitney, and they're like, oh my gosh, you can have any man that you want. But hearing the content of your conversation, it's like you might want to run after 3 weeks from the man you want, right?
Interested does not mean eligible.
Yeah, exactly. Dude, I was listening to somebody and they were talking. They were like, "Yeah, got married. It's a blended family." I'm like, "Oh yeah, how many kids do they have?" They're like, "Nah, it's them and their other personalities." I mean, I'm not trying to like be like a whole mental health thing, but I'm saying you just don't know what you're getting into. So you're looking at a body and you're like, "Wow, this man is attractive, or this woman is attractive." And they have everything that I want. And you fantasize and you romanticize and you ruminate, and then you get to know this person, and it's like,
They don't match.
can you lose my number? Like, I'm like, for real. Just act like you don't know me.
Better yet, I'm gonna just change it. I'm gonna make it easy.
I'm gonna change it.
Block.
If you see me on the street, don't even speak. Like, we just don't. You're dead to me. You're dead to me. Right? So I love that perspective. I love that you bring that out in the open. I want to jump on, and I want to ask. I want to ask you, Bailey. I want you to go into. So, what is it like having a baby? What's the struggle like? What does that look like for you? Even in relationship to your husband, like, what does that look like in the whole context? Because a lot of people want kids. They're like, man, I just want to have a baby. I just want to have a baby. I can't wait to have a baby. And then you have this baby and you're like, I can't sleep. I'm so tired. The man just keeps waking. The kids wake up all kinds of time of the night. I told my kid, he was like, I want to have twins. I was like, I used to, until I had the first one. And I was like, you don't get no sleep. None at all. And he was like, so you mad? I'm like, no, I'm not mad. It's just post-traumatic. No, you get no sleep for about 6 months. You're something like that. Like, you have no sleep. You eat everything because you're just trying to keep this kid alive to a degree. Like, and then you got a husband that's been waiting on you for like 6 weeks, and they like, come on, and you like, I don't know. Are you sure? I'm sorry, I'm not trying to jump into it, but Bailey, tell me about your journey.
Sure. So in relationship to my husband, postpartum has been difficult because I think there were a lot of lies that I believed going into postpartum, right? So pregnancy, I really felt great. I had a wonderful pregnancy, praise God. And so I ate everything. So I gained all this weight because everybody said, don't worry about it. You're breastfeeding. It'll come right off. It'll fall off of you. And I just say BS to all of that because that is not true in the slightest, at least for me. And I don't know who you are, but praise God for that for you. But that is not that was not me. It's not me still. And I think
Baby,
I was really irritated for a while because I'm like, what the heck? I'm doing all these things. Andrea said, right, you're completely sleep deprived. And you're just, I had terrible, terrible postpartum anxiety to a degree. I really am not an anxious person. But after I've had Jace, that has been a whole new ball game, which is a whole nother topic. Not for today's little broadcast, but that also just would send me crazy because I have an unhealthy relationship with food and it is my comfort a lot of times. And I would just eat because I'm scared, or I'd eat because I'm tired, or I'd eat just because I needed to chew on something. And so there we go, right? That is not good for weight loss. It's not good. Even if you're eating apples all day long, it's still not good. And so, um, in relationship to in relation to my husband and postpartum, yeah, like we had a great sex life prior to baby. And then baby comes, you're sleep deprived, you feel ugly. At least I did. My hips are bigger than ever. I don't fit into my clothes. I barely fit into my maternity clothes. And then here we're just supposed to pick up where we left off. And it's hard to get that fire going when you don't feel beautiful. And I have the world's best husband, I think, because he does not care if I'm 300 pounds or if I'm 160 pounds. Like, he loves my curves. He's really, him and Whitney actually are really two that have taught me to just love me for me and love my curves. And, but it's hard to get into that place. And so I just have to realize too, for me, even when I don't feel the sexiest, he still desires me. And as a wife, I I owe that to him. And in all honesty, when it does happen, it really does make me feel good, right? Because he still loves me and that connection is still there. And I think it's really easy to just go to bed, I'm so tired, or next time we'll do it tomorrow, or just put it off, you know? And so get over yourself is what I've had to tell myself. Like, Bailey, get over you, because you are beautiful. And even though you don't look how you want to look right now, it's this process of getting back there. And we're going to just still continue to be healthy and do all the right things that you know to do, because eventually it'll come off, or you'll look that part again. But until then, you still are beautiful. And you and your husband are a great team. And you have to show up as part of that team just as much as he does. And so does that make sense? Kind of with
We'll come back to you, Bailey. Um, Gwen, I want you to go into a little bit of your journey. I know you had cancer, and I want you to talk about that. What did that look like? Because I know last time you talked, you touched on it just a little bit. Having cancer, the cuts, the scars.
Yeah.
What did that do for your body image? And I know you talked about some body neutrality, and then in the scope of wanting to be in a relationship, wanting to get married.
So for me, I had been a single mom for 5 years, and I was exercising 5 days a week. I had dropped my weight. I was feeling better about myself. And then I get cancer, breast cancer. And I was just weeks before I turned 40, I started chemo. And pre-cancer, I had been straightening my hair every day. Didn't like the curls. People liked my hair better straight, so I would straighten it. You know, it took 40 minutes. I would hate it if it rained. I mean, I just hated it. I wore contacts. So there were things I was doing pre-cancer. Then I had cancer. I lost all my hair. Didn't matter if it was straight or curly, it was gone. And, lost my eyebrows, lost my eyelashes. My eyes dried up over the course of chemo, and they've just never produced the tears that are needed. So I have to wear glasses still 6 years later. My hair started growing back, curly. And I was like, Lord, really? It couldn't be blonde and straight after all that, And I had to learn to embrace it. During chemo, I was put into menopause at 40 years old, which is hard on your body, but it's really hard when you go from not being on menopause to being in menopause quick, fast. Body started changing, gaining weight, joint pain, and of course, you add the surgeries. So I had a surgery up here to put a port in. So I have this scar up here on my shoulder. I have scars all down the side of me from a lumpectomy. And here I am, my hair's starting to grow back. And every time I step out of the shower in my bathroom, the mirror was right there. So I see the scars. That's what would pop out at me, are these scars on my body. And I had already accepted the cellulite from children, and my body's gaining weight, and I'm tired, and I'm in joint pain, and I'm depressed, and all these things that come with menopause. And my hair's growing back curly, and I don't have time or the strength to straighten it. And so I had to come to this realization that I was going to accept me for me. I was going to accept who I was and what I was. And I was a woman who had survived cancer. I was a woman who had 3 amazing children, my 3 boys, and they had to see me bald and kind of yellow for a year and sick, and they still loved me, and they loved that I was still alive.
Wow.
They loved that I was able to go to their schools and say, hey, got some test results, the cancer's gone. So for them, It helped me put things in perspective. They were glad to have me, right? Yeah. So it didn't matter to them. They were glad to see my hair growing back. They didn't care whether it was straight or curly. They didn't care about the weight gain. They didn't care about, I'm crying from depression. They cared about the fact that I was alive. And that helped to put a lot of things in perspective. And as I learned to accept myself, even going back into the dating world after cancer, and I had a guy I had dated for a year who broke up with me in the middle of chemo. And, so that kind of hurts, right? Because you're just like, I'm in the middle of all this. And so it took a little while to want to date again, but then there was this desire. I really want to be married again. I'd like to have a guy around, but I was so worried about having curly hair, because anytime I straighten it, I'm told how beautiful it is. Why don't you do that all the time? Where I will not straighten my hair anymore. No one will ever see it straight. Like, it's going to be curly, busy on some days. It might not be good all the time, but I'm hearing people say I get better when I change myself. And so when I change to me. And so I didn't get that. I guys that, I would have liked, but they didn't really want to pursue it. And I just said, God, there's got to be someone out there who just will love me for me. And so when I met Zach, I was honest. I said, look, I am all scarred. And if you don't think as a woman, to see the Bible say a woman's breast will satisfy you, and one of mine is completely cut up and scarred, that's hard. And it's hard to deal with that. And I had to come to the conclusion that having me alive is better than not being alive. And if that meant surgeries and scars and chemo and menopause at 40, then that's what it meant. And I told Zach about all of it, was completely upfront. And he was supportive. He's like, I don't care. I love you. But after we'd been married a couple of weeks, right? And we're coming back and settling into life, those old doubts start hitting.
Oh,
You know, you're really not that pretty. Why would he stay with you? You know, you've got all these scars. And I told him that one time. I was like, I just feel like I want to put a tattoo over the scars and I don't want to show them and all this. And he's like, if you want a tattoo over your scars, you can get one. But he said, don't get one for me because they don't bother me at all. Like, I love you. I love your body. I love all of it. And so I feel blessed to have a husband like that. But, you know, for 6 years, you have those doubts and you can settle. I don't want to say settle. You can gain confidence in who you are and accept who you are. But those old thoughts may still come back at times. And they may still hit you at times when you think they wouldn't hit you. And so you always have to keep in front of you who you are as a daughter of God, who you are as a woman, who you are in your family, and keep that positive in front of you, because sometimes those thoughts just come up out of nowhere and you just got to strike them back down and be like, you know, I accept who I am. I've got this curly hair. I've got eyebrows that are permanent makeup tattoo because my eyebrows never came back. This is those microblading. But I accept me, the scars and all. And that's just, it's been a journey for me. It's been a lot of tears and a lot of prayer and getting hurt by men who didn't want to deal with that. They didn't want a woman who had cancer. They didn't want to deal with that. And, you know, so I waited for the one who will accept that and understand that that's a part of my past. Doctor's appointments, testing will be a part of my life for the rest of my life. And so you just have to, it was a journey to get through. And I think that's why sometimes when women tend to get sick or illnesses, it's hard on them because their body changes. And so that's where you have to really dig deep and be, who am I? And then when you figure out who you are, you accept all of you. Yeah. And then if you want to change it or need to change it, you have the confidence to change it. You're not changing it because of what other people say or how other people feel. You're changing it to make you better, but you're coming at it from a healthy standpoint and not an unhealthy one. An unhealthy one says, I need to lose this weight to be pretty. A healthy person says, you know, I want to lose this weight because I want to be healthier and I want to live longer. I'm going to change how I eat so I can see my grandkids get born, versus an unhealthy person who says, oh, I've got to reach this number. I need this number on a scale. And that comes from the confidence of trusting you, trusting your body, and knowing who you are.
That's good. That's good. Bailey, we're going to come back to you after Monique so you can finish up if there's anything else that you wanted to share. Monique, talk to me from the perspective of performing arts. See, I was thinking about your performance. I wasn't trying to knock you out. I wasn't trying to say dancing wasn't a sport. I'm sorry. I was going to say you too, but my apologies for not addressing that appropriately. Please forgive
You've been forgiven. At the
yes,
cross.
Okay, thank you.
At the cross, amen.
Thank you. At the cross. What about you?
Of course, I forgive you.
Okay. But talk about it from a performing arts perspective. I mean, I know you've been through dance, all of that. What is body image? How does that contribute to that? arena?
Heavily. I mean, you're always, it's always a part of you, for one, because you use your body. That is your body is your paintbrush. You know, your body is your canvas. Your body is the centerpiece sometime of a just whatever is being performed. You always have to think of ways you're maneuvering your body and how to shift my body. And you know, when you're training, we spent majority of our time warming up and getting that part, just getting our bodies conditioned to spend maybe only the last 30 minutes of maybe that hour and a half class to practice whatever choreography or something. That the choreography, unless you were preparing for something, was definitely, you didn't spend as much time doing that sometimes with dance. And so the image aspect of dance and arts in that way, it's right here, because like I said, it's your body. We're doing the movements. When you're choosing your leotards, your tights, your shoes, everything matters. What size you get, you're being sized, you're being fitted for costumes, depending on the situation, especially when it comes to ballet. I've talked about this before. I'm short, 5'1 3/4". So we're gonna round it up to that 5'2". I do it, you know, whatever. My kids be like, I'm fine. Okay. But anyway, 5'2" and I've always been shapely. Always. I've always been shapely. And so, and I've always had bosom and bottom. And so it makes it challenging when you look around you and you do see the more slender dancers. You know, it hasn't hindered me in the aspect of maybe being chosen for something or anything like that. I haven't had any stories like that. I was used in a lot, you know, front and center a lot. So that it wasn't a hindrance in that way. Some people do have those stories that dance. But mentally it was there. I always had that in my focal point of thinking. I need to suck it in. I need to do this. I need to do that. You'll have a dance instructor poke at you sometime, telling you, the girl, push it in, you know, and like, I can't. That was a constant. It was constant, you know. So I don't think it was intentional. That's just the industry. But what happened is, I mean, I started dancing from 7 on through 20 something before I started teaching dance myself. And you carry that. It's still kind of there in your focal point, and your thinking is kind of ingrained there. And I may have shared this last time. I wanted to be a point dancer, but somewhere that got distorted for me, and I couldn't be a point dancer. I'm too short, too thick, you know. So I didn't pursue that path hardcore. I just said, well, I'm going to do this. I'm real good at this. So I'm going to tap. I'm going to do African. I'm going to do modern, you know. But it's all society, those stigmas, even in that industry of dance, you know, everywhere you look around you, there are these stigmas. So that was basically what I dealt with, and that carried into my becoming a married woman at 19. My husband's the same. Like, he loves me thicker. The thicker for me I am for him, I mean, the better. He loves all this body. And I be like, boy, bye, okay? Like, he makes me feel good. But I'm like, I'm trying to be snatched everywhere. He don't sometimes get it. So, and then the fupa, and I'm not being, the P is not inappropriate. It's just what that is. Now, the fupa area is a hindrance for my future, unless, like, I get back with Whitney, and I say back because I used to go across the street. She lived across the street from me and train. My God, like, you best be ready if you're gonna be with Whitney. So I'm just saying, I know there are things I can do to change this. I know I can change all of that, but it's right.
Had to work my way up to that.
Listen, she's not here to play. She had me on this thing, y'all. I'm on the ground. The table's up here. How am I supposed to jump up there? Wait. How? Like you just told me to. She had me do that. It was great.
But you did
But
it.
yeah, I did it.
Your body could
She's
do more than you thought
amazing.
you could do.
It could do more
Just
than I
work your
thought.
way up to it.
Listen, she's not here to play, but you get your results. And in that season, I did. And I'm in a space now where 4 babies later, I have, like I said, had 3 C-sections. I've had 3 NICU babies. All of those 3 were preemies. The trauma, the things like that, like Bailey was talking about, it does. All those things affect you and your progress. I know there's times where I was just so stressed or so depressed or so anxious and did not realize those things are also keeping that weight on me and keeping anything that I'm doing in this kitchen, this nutrition, this gym. It almost didn't matter because that inside clutter was in the way. So I went on a journey after having my last baby of dealing with that clutter, because after enough circumstances and situations, you can only pack away so much. And it was at a pulp and it was time to deal. So I did. I started got my health stuff together first with the minerals and the nutrition. And then, okay, now let's get with a therapist. So we finally got some therapy, got some things going, and got some understanding, some more decluttering. And I realized my scale, y'all, I gained that 40 pounds I was on there talking about. Look at me before, after. I gained that back last year. Okay. Why though? I look in the mirror at myself back at my starting weight after I had my baby, and I don't see the same body. The scale's the same. The same little parts are there. The clothes tags are the same. But I see myself differently. I look back on pictures. I don't look like some creature that I don't recognize. I was like, man, I was actually thin when I thought I was fat, or when I thought this, or when I thought, it was that dysmorphia stuff we talk about. It's not only for people that struggle with eating conditions. It's a real thing, like the things we go through, all that trauma and stuff, which led me to, see this closet thrifter? I started thrifting for therapy in my process of getting therapy. And that's why I created the closet thrifter, because I wanted to help other people use this in a way to help you overcome some of that crud, that stuff in there, so we can see all of this as snatched, no matter where we are. Okay. And then get with Whitney after that. Okay. Once we get that together, then we make our appointments so we can lose that however many pounds and really.
And then go back shopping, right?
And then
we got to go shopping again.
Look, repeat it. Process.
Rinse, cycle, repeat.
Hello. Yes.
Literal cycle. We in there, man. Anyway.
Oh my.
Oh, jumping on the table. Praise the Lord, Jesus. Amen.
You got to do a video. You know what I'm talking about with.
Yeah, I know, man. She sent them to me on
Everybody has that moment of jumping on there.
Yeah, okay. Amen. We gonna move on. Gonna pass the plate.
Yeah, I'm still at the Pilates level. I don't know that I'm ready to jump on a table.
So I'm saying, I'm just kind of
probably made it sound more dramatic than it is, but it's some jumping. Trust me, you're gonna jump.
I'm gonna get to the videos. I am. I promise. Thank you, Whitney. Bailey, did you want to finish up what you were saying? Okay.
I just wanted to piggyback off of Gwen and just say that it's that journey. And I think for me, I had to really realize that, we had issues before we had Jace as far as getting pregnant. And so when he came, that was the biggest answer to prayer, or biggest faith, really what we were believing for, and it was here, right? And in the midst of, like Moni was saying, all the body dysmorphia and the self-hate that I was going through, I just look into this little baby's precious face and just realize he doesn't care that I'm way heavier than I've ever been. He doesn't care. He loves me because I'm his mom. And that is who God has given him to me right now on this earth, so that I have this added purpose to my life, to raise him up, and to be a man of God, to be just a great man. And to realize that has helped me through this journey too. Like, it's not about what you see on the scale, but it's about being there and being intentional there. And when your mind gets right, then that kind of what they were all saying, the rest just kind of sloughs off. Like, okay, I'm going to keep doing these things to be healthy. I'm going to continue this journey. I'm not giving up, but I'm going to show up and be present now, regardless of how I may view myself or how I physically look right now. So that's all I wanted to say.
That's so good. The whole point of this series is really like what all of these three women describe. Whitney has a different perspective because she's been in tune with her body for a long time. Moni has a different perspective because she's been in theater. Gwen has a different perspective because she's had cancer and dealt with the scars. And Bailey has a different experience because she's a new mom and she's learning all the things. But one thing, Bailey, you just said is self-hate. Right? I mean, there's a lot that goes into body image and that struggle. Men have this, no matter what they look like, and this is not male bashing. This is just insight. Men have this reckless abandon when it comes to the way they look. They could have a belly that's 20 feet long and still walk around with no shirt on. You understand what I'm saying?
I think part of that is because society accepts that. Like,
because it's acceptable, right? But a woman, we just had kids. We sweating because we trying to put the kid outside the carrier. We sweating. Our stomach is hanging a little bit. And they're like, girl, you need to cover up. Oh, shoot. You need to put that in. Like, well, I just had a cesarean and, no, you just can't be going out the house like that. You need to wear a coat, a jacket or something. You need to cover that up. Right? It's like, holy stuff, man. You take him then. Put the kid in the car. You take him. I'm going back in the house, taking it out. Right? But like, it comes down to self-hatred. It comes down to, am I looking at myself in the mirror and I'm hating the thing that I see? So then I'm feeling bad about myself. Self-confidence. So it's not superficial that we're talking about this. It's not superficial that we're discussing these things and bringing them to light. And, one thing that was pretty cool for me was when my husband looked at me and said, hey, so like, I really didn't realize the struggle that you went through. Like, I just had no idea that these were the challenges that you were facing. You've always seemed pretty normal and confident to me, but like, I never knew that you felt this way. That's what happened when you bring things to light. You start to have conversations about them, and people start to become a little bit more aware. And awareness brings compassion and empathy and patience. Right? Y'all heard me.
Yeah. You're right. Amen.
Yeah, that's right.
You heard me.
That's
And
right.
there's like Whitney's saying, there's a level of reciprocity. Here we doing all of these mind gymnastics, trying to look good and all these other things, body gymnastics. Somebody said something about pole linear dancing and all of these other things to keep our bodies in check, right? Jumping on tables and carrying on to keep our bodies.
Let me defend myself.
All of the things.
Whatever it's on, it works.
We're going through all of this stuff. And we see men, they come up and they are fully confident in what they look like and who they are because of a societal acceptance, right? I mean, somebody that you are not even attracted to talks to you and people are like, hey, man, you better give him a chance. Give him a chance. He's a nice dude, right?
Yeah.
You don't necessarily, your stomach hangs out a little bit. You didn't realize that your shirt was too small. And they're like, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Everybody's telling this man, don't do it. And then they don't say, she's nice, give her a chance. They don't say that. They're like, run.
That's true. Different standards for sure.
It's true.
You have a question.
Totally different standards. But we do have a question. I'm sorry.
But I will say, I will take up for men, and only because I train a lot of athletes.
Go for it.
I will take up for them. They struggle. It's more accepted for them, like socially, and it's also not as socially acceptable for them to say, "Hey, I struggle with how I look," and so they internalize a lot as well. Like, especially, I deal with a lot of boxing athletes, so they look ripped all the time. They run, they're in the gym a lot, but like they'll be like, dang, look at this. I don't have my abs, this, that, the other. And I'm like, you're here to perform, not just how you look. So I will take up. I had somebody I dated before and got in a bad accident at work, hurt his back. He was like paralyzed for like a week. They didn't know. He gained a lot of weight, got depressed. They know, and like that added weight and stuff, and look at himself because he used to be like, like depressed. And now has lost it or whatever else. But he's like, I didn't realize how much, like, how I looked at myself could, like, make me depressed. And I'm like, oh, I watched you. Like, I saw it, but I'll take up for the men. Because it's not open for them to say, like, they look down upon, oh, you're weak. You stop acting like a woman. Like, they hear it. So them talking about, like, well, I don't like the way it will look, this, that, the other, like, it's not acceptable for them. Well, it is.
Well, that's good.
Socially, it's really not.
Sure.
Well, I appreciate you bringing that out. I mean, I'm not trying to male bash. It's just not having the perspective and like the fact that they're dealing with the same struggle.
They internalize it.
They just can't vocalize it.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Yeah. That is something. We've got a question by Shaniqua. Nico. Sorry, Nico. What helped you feel supported, encouraged in your journey to a positive body image?
Can you repeat it one more time? What helped? Okay, there it is.
What helped you feel supported, encouraged in your journey to a positive body image?
Wow. And I can say from me, all the different times that I didn't have a positive body image, I have always been surrounded around people that think I do. So, no matter what, I've always gotten, this is women, like my women, y'all go hard. Y'all are awesome in making me feel good. Cause I just sat down tonight and you were like, okay, and I'm like, thank you. I needed that because my baby in here screaming. I'm hoping she hushed before 6 p.m., So I'm thankful for that. And so I'm highlighting the ladies because y'all have been awesome support system throughout my whole life. My two sisters and my mom. And then, of course, last but not least at all, my husband. He's been a super fan of me in all phases. He just adores my image. And I'm thankful. When you see me with a mohawk, when you see me with red hair, blonde hair, he's most of the time pushed me to get confident enough to finally do it. Blue hair, it doesn't matter. He's just a fan and it helps.
Whitney?
of a lot of people. Because as much as people be like, oh, when you look great, like that other side part about being an athlete and being in tune with your body so much is, and you see changes a lot more. Even like the slight things. Like I get up and I'm like, dang, my abs aren't popping the way they were yesterday. Like, what did I eat? What do I need to change in my diet? What's going on? And then realizing like, hey, you're a woman, your hormones are like here every 28 days. So realizing that, because at different times, like in just learning myself more, I guess to a degree of in appreciating like I put my body like, I mean, shout out to you moms, because I'm not there yet. But just like physically put my body through a lot. And so realizing like I can do a lot, and it's not always about like going from being an athlete to bodybuilding. You go from being functional to just how you look, and now coming like out of that and being an athlete again, and like appreciating like, yeah, I can jump on a 33-inch box, whatever else. And this, that, the other, and just like, it's not always just how like you look, but how your body can function. And that perspective helped me, because like I got one of my friends the other, like I had a shoot a couple weeks ago, and I was like, I don't like the way I look, and I'm not. And I'm like, Whitney, what is wrong? And I was like, I just don't like how I look right now, and I'm supposed to do a shoot in like 4 days. I don't like how I look. It's like, yeah, but you look fine. I'm like, you may think so, but inwardly, I don't like. I can see this, I can see that. I want my legs bigger. I want it more toned. I want all this stuff. So it's not just like, it's not just people being overweight or whatever else. You can be in tune with your body and like have these issues. And so like, I'm in the gym with a bunch of guys all the time. So they're always trying to boost my ego too. Like, Coach, wait, you look good. I'm trying to get on your level. And I'm like, oh, thank you. You just don't know how much I struggle at times. And having just my friends that just, yeah. So I think it says a lot about, and I try not to, some stuff that we intake on social media, I don't think we realize how much it affects us, because I did a shoot a couple of weeks ago too. It was a lot, but it was supposed to be, anyways, you saw it. But I was like, oh, I can't get this angle. I wanted to look like this, and like, Whitney, they photoshopped it. You can't see this right here. And I was like, you're right. And they're like, and they don't have like, their butt's not as big as yours. They're smaller. They're this or that. And I was like, okay, I'll take it. They're like, you're being too hard on yourself. And I was like, got it. Because I'm like constantly social media for like you compare yourself. So like sometimes I just gotta detach from that as well and not intake that stuff.
That's good. Bailey?
Yeah, I think along the lines of them, I think my friends, especially Whitney, because I remember Whitney was here 2 months after Jace was born. And I'm like, okay, so like, because Whitney trained me. She trained me to play college basketball. And that was the best shape I was ever in. So I'm like, okay, so what do I need to do? How can I get my abs back? Because my belly is like in some serious type of way. And that's part of the C-section, the emergency C-section I had. Like my body just isn't the same. It didn't shift back into place like it did. I might be the same size as I was before pregnancy, but it doesn't look right. Anyways, so literally only 8 weeks after, and I'm like, okay, Whitney, tell me what I need to do. She's like, you need to just not do anything. She's like, your body, sorry to spit, your body is still healing and you need to just relax. And I was like, okay, and so things like that to just put back into perspective of what's helped me. And then my husband, like all the credit to him, because he has been in the ups and downs and the crying messes and the, the real high times too. And he's always been there to just encourage me, just even telling me on days that I don't feel like I look great, but man, you look hot, or, you're looking really good, or keep up the good work, things like that. And so all the credit to him too. Yeah.
Okay, Gwen.
Well, first of all, I want to know how I didn't know Whitney before. How have I not been through the training sessions yet? I'm confused here. Anyhow, Everybody's like, I was trained by Whitney.
Listen, Gwen, I'm not moving back to Tulsa.
Virtual appointment.
She sends videos too.
So
I'll forward her videos to you.
that's right. I need them. I need help. All right. So for me, I have a mom and a sister who's very supportive of me and very positive with me. And so they've always encouraged me and just been like my biggest fans. I have my tribe, my couple of ladies that have always just been there, encouraged me and been there for me. If we're going to go deeper, it was Psalms 139. You know, I am fearfully and wonderfully made. And I don't know how many, I read that in every translation. I would read it sometimes multiple times a day to remind myself that I am fearfully and wonderfully made. God breathed his life into me. And then it was just accepting me, accepting who I was, accepting that I've got some thighs, you know, I've got the bulge from the babies, but also accepting all the positive that my body has done for me. Given birth to 3 babies. We've gone through cancer together. My body sustained me when chemo's being pumped through my brain, through my bloodstream, through surgeries, through radiation. And my body was with me through that. And to accept my body and for how strong my body is to have come through that helped to change my perspective in how I look at myself and how I feel about myself.
So good.
That's good.
That is so good.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh,
Good. This is good.
Oh, wow. So I think we have come to the part of the time where we are going to conclude our night. You ladies are absolutely amazing. You brought it tonight, and I wanted to like go into the different stories because you know you hear the little snippets, but people have these same experiences, and they need to hear it. They need to know that there is life after whatever you've experienced, right? And there is freedom and confidence and, you know, all the things, self-love and body positivity and all those things where you could just lean in to the body. Now, look, I'm going to tell you something. The other day I was on a phone call with some ladies and I'm sitting there and I saw this extra. Couple months ago, like I didn't have this extra. I was walking and then I injured myself. So I had to stop walking. Well, what happens? You're sitting because you're not walking. And I did not follow the videos that Whitney sent me. And so I got some of this extra and I'm sitting on the video and I'm like, oh, my face is like enormous. My chin is like, oh, you're like, I'm sitting on, I'm just like, and my face is shining. Like it looks like a glow, like a light bulb. And I'm like, man, this is terrible. That is awful. And I'm sitting here talking and I hate the shirt that I'm wearing. And I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, man, this is disgusting. I just can't believe I'm sitting on this call looking like a glowworm. Like this is horrible.
Not a glowworm.
Glowworm on this call, looking like a glowworm, man. And then I really took a look at myself at that moment. And I was like, I don't look like I'm beautiful. Like I'm sitting there and just like, oh my gosh. And then all this confidence comes in. And I'm like, oh, I can say that. And I can speak up and I can tell my story, right? But the whole time I'm sitting there thinking I look like a glowworm. I am not saying a word. Like, I'm just like, just don't look this way. Maybe you won't see, like you won't be mesmerized by the shine. Like, I don't even, can I cut my camera off? Like, this is really bad. But all it was self-perception. I judged myself more harshly because I didn't necessarily like how I looked or what had happened to my body. But when I accepted it, I'm like, well, it's just this where it is. I mean, like I would still be working out if my foot wasn't messed up. Like I would still be doing all the things that I was doing if I wasn't in this place. And I just embraced it and accepted it. I felt like, oh, I'm leaning in. I do look good. Yes. Yes. Hair is popping. Woo. Yes. 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 I almost went like this on the screen. Y'all see it? Like y'all want to see my hair? Like look at that. It's just it's splitting and everything. All the gray is coming. Man, I was all in an hour time frame. Look, I did that in 1 hour. 1 hour. But this message has really helped with that. Really made me accountable. We're not just on here talking about it. We're making ourselves accountable. Okay, if I'm telling you that it's okay to be my body neutral or body positive, then I need to accept that too. Because it's one thing to get up here and preach about it, and not live it. Right. But it's another thing when you bring it to yourself and you say, look, I need to accept this about me. And I need to be okay with me, no matter what anybody says, spouse and all, no matter what they say, I have to be okay with me. Right. And at the end of the day, that's the message. We love you. We're coming back next week. We're going to be talking about body image and social media. You don't want to miss it. And then we have number 5. 8 other ladies are going to be on, and we are going to be talking about body image, and we're going to be closing it up. So you don't want to miss that one either. All right. Until next time, we'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye.